Welcome everybody, this is the Pound Aussie. You're currently looking at the 15-minute. This is a trade where I have just banked 373 pips. Now usually I'd be jumping for joy, however, as everybody knows out there, I'm still working from the laptop and somehow I have misplaced the first part of the video which talked about my entry, where I got it, how I got it. And now that it's just hit, I've come to do the second part of the video and I cannot find the first part of the video. So I have no proof, although I do have proof. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a few screenshots of the screenshot of my phone through one of the brokers I had this with, and then a screenshot of the online version as well, showing dates, entries, stops, targets and the amounts. It's quite important that obviously you guys see that this was a live trade I was in. I will talk you through how I managed it, but first of all I will go and do the high time frame and just kind of talk through the trade from the very beginning, because this was an extremely large trade. I added multiple positions to this trade as I went through it. One of them was just a few days ago, a classic example, and those of you that was in the chat, I know there's not too many of you at the moment, but those of you that were in the chat, you actually saw this as a trade idea that I posted. So let's take this from the top first of all. Let's go and look at the daily time frame first of all, and just look at the type of trade that I was in. I've also mentioned this several times within the quick hit review videos, and it was this very large flag pattern here. In a moment I'm going to show you the proof that I was in it, but what I want to do is just show you this. And I was in this in multiple accounts. In total, with adding position sizes, it says just over 1400 pips, but I'm just going to take this from my initial entry, which meant there was a 373 pip trade from my entry up to targets. And really we're looking for the 127 fib extension, and I do say time and time again that just because you don't get your optimum entry doesn't mean that you can't get involved with the trade, because these breakout patterns, as per the educational material, means that very often we do enter trend. And just here, look at all the consolidation we had. I'm going to talk about this doji here, the higher high, higher close, and the rally all the way up to targets today, banking that 373 pips. So before we get into that, let's just minimize this, and I have two screens open just here. It doesn't show my personal account information, but first of all, this is the trade I was in. This was on one of the accounts, a position size of 40,000. As you can see, we have the Pound Aussie just here. Okay, we have the date, so we're looking at the 12th of the 10th, which is really today. It's the 10th of December. 10 past 11 this morning is when it hit. And as you can see here, I sold 1.93512, but I bought it at 1.89780. Now, if you work that out in terms of pips, it's 373 pips. That's the net profit on this. Ignore that, obviously. The amount that you earn on a trade is irrelevant. This isn't even my proper position sizing, but on this particular account, you can see if you work that out, it's 373 pips. And if I just go to this here, I've done another screenshot. This one was on my phone. As you can see, Pound Aussie, position size of 40k today. 12.319. What does it say? 12.319. Guys, I have no idea why it says that. Oh, that was when I bought. Not too sure what that is. Yeah, that's probably when I bought the trade on the 3rd of December at 7:15 in the evening at 189,780. Yeah, for position size of 40,000. There we go. Exited today, the again 12.10.19, which is today because this is American style. 11.09, 373 pip. Sorry about that, had to cut a little bit of the video there. Right, let's actually talk through this trade then. So first of all, I was in the big 373 pip trade upwards, but I added to the position sizes on this trade. So as we drop down the time frames, there were several instances where I got involved with this trade. Now, one of them was if I put a structure level in just here, what did price do? Well, we rallied up. Well, we were kind of up and down an awful lot here, but what actually happened is when we came down to this level just here, I'm just going to move. What happened is we actually came down to this level, put in a higher high, higher close. This candle right here was actually a rejection candle, so this was an indication that price could go higher. We had a longer wick to the downside than we did to the upside, and then on the next candle I got involved around about here. So this trade had a risk of around this much all the way up to here. Now don't forget I was already in the flag pattern, so I added to this position size, and then what we managed to do then is, if we look at what we did, we had a great big rally and then we had a pullback. Where did we pull back to? Look at this beautiful structure level that we have just here. So I'm going to drop down to the 60-minute time frame. And remember guys, just as per the educational material, when we have these breakout patterns, drop to your lower time frame, because very often we do enter trend. And on the 60-minute we had trend. So a move higher, a pullback, a move higher, a pullback. This just here was a move higher with a pullback, then a move higher. So the actual outside return was this level just here. So anywhere within this zone, I can look for, quite simply, a higher high, higher close candle. Boom, there it is right there. So that meant that I could get involved here, stops an ATR below the low, which was around this level. However, it didn't just stop there. As I dropped down to the 15-minute, it provided a double bottom on the 15-minute. So let me just go back and clarify this, sorry. Double bottoms and double tops are only valid when we are within the wicks. So let me reposition this down to the wicks from that point to there. Okay, so in the wicks is where we look for those rotation patterns, and down here on the 15, look at what we have. We have right here double bottom. We had the RSI confirmation with divergence. Not only that, so just to see this, here's the double bottom just here. Not only that, but we rallied up. We had a confirmed break above, close above. That meant you could look for a 26.18 entry, and boom, right here we came down for a 26.18. We just went past it. We then put in some higher high, higher close candles. I then added to the position a gain on this trade. In total, as I say, this added up to 1400 pips, but the actual amount that I'm declaring is this 373, because that was from the very first entry. And from there, guys, it was just a case of leaving the trade. So I'm going to go back out to the 240. And it's a bit of a mess here now because we've got all this information on it. But what we did is we came down to this level, and from there we just simply rallied on all the way up to those targets. So very, very nice trade indeed from this point. That was 259 from this level. About here I got involved with. There it is, guys, 389. So that's 373 is the amount that I'm going to declare on here. I cannot find the first part of the video, which is a real shame, but guys, this was such a high probability trade. We have around a 65% chance of this flag pattern coming off. On top of that, we entered trend. First of all, we came down to here, put in a higher high, higher close after we held structure. Then what we did is, as we rallied and put in a new high just here, we pulled back to previous structure and put in a higher high, higher close on the 60-minute after we were confirmed in trend. On the 15-minute, we put in a double bottom, which was then confirmed. We then put in a 26.18, which was followed by 3 candles and a higher high, higher close. And this here, just to show you on the 15-minute, I'm trying to cover all the bases that I went over here when I last did this review video, which I've lost. Just look at the reward to risk here, guys, that I got on this potential entry, because I added to the position. So there was the double bottom, stops went an ATR below it, which was around, I think it was around 20 pips at most. So we're looking at about there. And where was targets? Where was targets? You could literally cry at this reward to risk. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make this red. And if I zoom out, there was the risk on that double bottom. Boom, there is the reward. Move across, guys, and you can see what have we got there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe a 7-to-1 reward to risk. Very, very high probability. And I've harped on about this a long time. Ever since this website was created, I've always talked about breakout patterns and head and shoulders really, but breakout patterns for me being very, very high probability. They're being the kind of setups where you can add to position sizes, and if you miss the entry, we tend to enter trend. So this was one of those examples where we entered trend on the 60-minute, followed by a 15-minute double bottom that was confirmed with a 26.18. It offered you a 7-to-1 reward to risk. What a beautiful, beautiful trade. I am still long a few other trades, which I will be exiting before the vote here in the UK. But I'm still in some pound trades long. What a beautiful trade. Lovely 373 pips to add to the trade log, and a fantastic way really to start to dial down now, ready for Christmas.